The Mavericks get outmatched in their NBA Finals rematch with the Boston Celtics. We'll break it all down over the next hour here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks analyst Bobby Curler. We are DLLS Mavs.
I will ban you
John,
to the shadow realm.
John.
I will cut away. Tanner, cut away.
How you doing?
Tanner.
I'm not acknowledging any of this. I'm not doing it.
Tanner put me up to it.
Your favorite guys covering your favorite team
Get out.
with your least
Get out
favorite
now.
guy.
KG's eyes. Kevin, can you read this shirt?
My eyes can see very well. I'm not even going to look at that.
We only read Spanish in
screen.
here.
I'm not even going to look at it. I can't even deal. I
Can't.
Oh, and then you go get
Hey.
John.
Get out of here.
I'm just going to put this up until he leaves.
Get the hell out of here.
Putting this up until he leaves. That's our new shirt.
Bye, John.
All right, time to do the
And he's
open of
gone.
the show now.
Restart.
Oh, my God. Oh, now he's going to actually do something here on the show.
This is the real reason I was here. Wire the alcohol.
Yeah, we'll probably need it throughout the course of this show tonight. Mavericks fall 122-107 at home to the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals rematch. The Celtics outscore the Mavericks 60-24 at the three-point line as the Mavericks dropped to 24-22 on the season and 13-10 at home. Celtics improve to 32-14 on the season, 17-6 on the road. We'll break it all down here for you over the course of the next hour. We'll be joined live by our Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato and our national NBA insider Marc Stein throughout the course of the show, as well as the Mavericks. Bobby had 6 guys in double figures. Kyrie Irving had 22 points. Quentin Grimes had 10 points in each of the third and fourth quarters to get 20 points on the night. But the Celtics balanced scoring with Jason Tatum with 24, Jaylen Brown with 22, Derek White, who had 16 of his 23 points in a big third quarter, unfortunately just overmatch the Dallas Mavericks tonight.
Yeah, the Mavs battled, man. They really, really battled hard. But this game was a really good example of the disparity in shot creation available to both teams. Boston is like the ultimate shot creating team between Brown, Tatum, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Peyton Pritchard, sometimes, depending on how he's moving, KP. They got 5-6 guys that can put the ball on the floor and make something happen that are threats to pass, dribble, or shoot from anywhere on the floor. Al Horford came in the game, and he was posting guys up. They got guys off the bench like Sam Hauser that can shoot too. Luke Cornett made some plays. They're a really, really deep team, but ultimately they have a ton of shot creation. The Mavs, on the other hand, due to the circumstances, they got Kyrie, Spencer Dinwiddie, who fouled out, and that's kind of it. Jaden Hardy was on a minutes restriction, and that's pretty much all the guys that can dribble on the team.
Yeah.
And the result is, for the Mavs, a box score that looks right out of 2006. Only 22 three-point attempts, only 107 points, a lot of turnovers. The Mavs just could not generate any easy shots. And, when Boston took 52, they made 20 until the last minute of the game, and the Mavs just jacking them up. The Celtics, for most of the game, had more three-point makes than the Mavs had three-point attempts. At that point, it becomes a math game. You're losing. So, it's just a really, really, I think, perfect example of why shot creation matters so much.
Yeah, Boston goes 20 of 52 from the three-point line. That's a 38.5% clip. Mavericks only took 22 threes and made 8 of them. That means they were outscored 60-24 at the three-point line tonight. And then when you combine that with going 21 of 28 from the free throw line, missing 7 free throws, and what felt tonight like a lot of just labored offense in a lot of ways, and it didn't get any easier by the amount of dunks and layups that were smoked tonight by the Dallas Mavericks as well, getting into what was a 39 of 88 shooting performance at 44%. I mean, Boston didn't shoot the ball great at all. First of all, they jacked up 103 shots tonight. They made 44 of them, but only shot the ball at 42.7%. But again, the math game that they were able to play pretty much better than anyone else in the league when 20 of the 44 shots that you make come from beyond the three-point line.
123 offensive rating.
Yeah.
That would be the best of all time.
Yeah. Shooting nearly just 43% from the field.
Yeah.
Again, the math that they bend when it comes to the three-point line came into play. They go 14 of 19 from the free throw line. But it was just a balanced attack, whether it be Derek White with the big third quarter, Kristaps Porzingis being able to play the inside-outside game, Jaylen Brown getting into the mid-range, knocking down a couple of mid-range jumpers, Jason Tatum doing what he does with his all-around game. That's the word I would use operatively tonight for the Celtics is balance, because that's exactly what they had throughout the course of their lineup there.
Depth, too. I mean, Peyton Pritchard off the bench plus 21, Luke Cornett off the bench plus 21, Al Horford plus 16. There was a stretch in the first quarter where the Celtics brought in those three guys off the bench. Like Peyton Pritchard is one of the I don't know how it stands, but he's certainly in the conversation for Sixth Man of the Year. Al Horford has been an all-star. Luke Cornett's a pretty good player. The Celtics had those three guys come in the game. The Mavs had Kessler Edwards come into the game.
Yeah.
So, that's the level of, skill disparity that we're seeing. And that's no disrespect to Kessler Edwards. The Celtics are really, really good. The game definitely turned, whenever the benches came in. I thought it was definitely a rough night for Maxi before the injury. Omax was not very effective. Kessler Edwards wasn't very effective either, and it's going to happen to you. But, I think you were talking about all the misses at the rim. The Mavs missed a lot of layups, but it's also one of those things where it's like you're kind of worried about KP, but also you got PJ trying to break down a defense. You got a bunch of guys doing stuff that they're just not really used to doing, so it's going to look really ugly at times. I'm more worried about, and I don't expect the guy to just learn how to dribble overnight, but PJ's so sloppy with the handle. He's really, really got to put work in that over the summer. He gets the ball poked away all the time in the open floor on drives to the rim, and he does have the size and the tenacity and the FU attitude needed to take guys one-on-one and get to the rim, finish through contact. He gets his own rebounds a lot, but he's got to tighten up the handle. I mean, that's another fundamental aspect of the game that's really lacking for the Mavs. They have some guys that can get to some spots,
sure,
but PJ, Grimes, Hardy, how many times are they putting the ball on the floor and someone's poking it away, and you just have to tighten that up.
And with the way that the Celtics played, you had to play near perfect basketball against them, especially when you look at the way that they protected the basketball. Boston only turned the ball over 5 times tonight. Not enough pressure created by this Mavericks defense. Conversely, the Mavericks turned the ball over 13 times, which led to 21 points off those turnovers for Boston. So they were able to take advantage not only at the three-point line, but also taking advantage of the mistakes that the Mavericks made in the turnover department, and that was, again, another difference in a game where the Celtics led by as many as 25. They shared the basketball. To your point about the ball movement tonight, Celtics had 33 assists on the 44 made field goals that they had tonight. So the ball was humming around for the Celtics, and it proved in a lot of ways, because we talked about during the pregame show, Bobby, you cannot give up. You're going to give up your fair amount of threes to this team because they take just a sheer ton of them throughout the course of a game. But you cannot give up wide open looks to a Celtics team that can shoot the ball as well as they can. And too many offensive rebounds led to second chance opportunities to knock down threes when they took advantage of some of those, where the Celtics had 17 offensive rebounds. And at times, the Mavericks defensive rebounding just simply was just not good enough tonight.
The Celtics put a lot of pressure on you if you can't just switch everything. If you can switch everything, they still put pressure on you because they can all pass, shoot, and dribble. So that's always going to, by nature, make it very tough to guard them. But with the personnel that the Mavs have available right now, whenever it's Gafford at the 5, they were switching quite a bit whenever Maxi was out there, but there's still some mismatches you want to try and avoid. But with Gafford at the 5, they do not feel comfortable, rightfully so, switching Gafford onto guys like Tatum or Brown. I mean, Gafford got matched up on Tatum and Brown at the nail, so at the free throw line, in the teeth of that zone, and they were cooking him from 15 feet out. From 30 feet out, it would be church very, very quickly. So what they try and do is either double team against some teams with bad shooting, or playing drop, or soft switching, and really just trying to, a bunch of stuff that the Celtics are going to punish And, against teams that have that kind of playmaking and that kind of shooting and that kind of 5-out spacing, it's going to pose the Mavs problem until Lively gets back. And Lively is not going to get back anytime soon. So, fortunately, there's only one team that plays like Boston, and it is Boston. But there are some more 5-out teams in the league the Mavs are going to have to deal with, and it's going to look like this. Like, it's not Daniel Gafford's fault that he's not Derek Lively, but the Mavs cannot defend the way that they want to and the way that you need to beat Boston whenever Gafford is on the floor. That said, they overcame it with offense. Gafford was a positive in the game. He was +3, whereas Maxi was -19. The offense completely abandoned the Mavs whenever they went to the bench. That was not really a defensive issue, but that said, the Mavs don't want Gafford to defend in space, and it's really, really hard to work a way around that whenever you're playing Boston.
Did you feel like they panicked a little early on when they went to zone? Because I know you had lamented the fact that it was like, oh my gosh,
I did not.
The Mavericks got into zone, and honestly, daring the Celtics to take 3-pointers is a choice. And they made that choice early on in the game.
Yeah, I was perturbed by that decision, but I'm okay with throwing out a zone like one possession every 7 trips down the floor.
Sure.
It's kind of like being random.
Yeah, switch things up a little bit. Yeah.
But what you don't want to do is sit in it for 5 or 10 straight possessions, because then they sort of get the rhythm of all right, well, this is going to happen when we go here. And the thing that was really the problem, I thought, was whenever they were playing man with Gafford on Drew. Drew just really had his way with him. It was pretty tough. Drew Holiday is a great player, and Gafford has to guard somebody, and they don't want him guarding KP because then it's just pick and pop, 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 pick and pop. So you got to find a workaround. I mean, it's just tough. It's really tough because on the one hand, I don't ever want to play zone against the Celtics, but on the other hand, I don't ever want to play man against the Celtics. So I don't really know what you do. I mean, what you do, Kevin, is finish the possession with a rebound.
Yes.
And that's the number of times Kyrie Irving, you were one of my favorite players I've ever had the pleasure to watch. Kyrie was getting worked on the offensive glass tonight. Dinwiddie was getting worked on the offensive glass tonight. There were times that PJ was watching and he wasn't engaging. And PJ, you're the best rebounder on the team outside of Gafford. These guys have to box out. They have to box out. This is the NBA. Guys just don't really box out that much. But even by that standard, there was an alarming lack of boxing out tonight. And the Celtics had 17 offensive rebounds.
Yep.
So, clearly they paid the price for that.
Celtics now moved to 15-1 when they knocked down at least 23-pointers in a game. They hit that number on the head tonight with the 20 that they made. To add injury to insult, unfortunately, Maxi Kleber left tonight's game with 4 minutes left in the third quarter with a right ankle injury. So we will need to find out what his status will be going into the game on Monday when the Mavericks welcome in the Washington Wizards at the American Airlines Center. But yet another injury for this team. They got Klay Thompson back. They got Jaden Hardy back in this game as well. Both were okay at times. Both Thompson and Hardy, both of them were on minutes restrictions. When you look at what they wound up playing, Klay Thompson was on a 25-minutes restriction. He wound up playing 26 minutes in the game. Jaden Hardy was on a 15 minutes restriction. He played 15 minutes and 29 seconds. So he hit the minutes restriction that he was supposed to have for tonight's game.
Klay really needs Luka back, dude.
Man, yeah.
I mean, it's really
the wide open looks that he'll get once he comes back.
Oh my God! But this isn't even criticizing Kid or
Sure.
Klay or anybody. But it's Klay, what are you doing here, man? What are you doing? He'll go minutes without touching the ball, and you can't build your whole offense around a 35-year-old catch and shoot guy. So I get it, but dude, I mean,
it was rough.
I don't know what you say. I don't know what to say.
Well, again,
I don't know what to say.
Part of what made the Klay Thompson signing intriguing was the amount of wide open looks that he will get playing alongside lukadoncic and Kyrie Irving. Unfortunately, he just has had the ability or the opportunity, I should say, to do that with Luka missing as much time as he has. But yes, he will welcome him back with open arms once lukadoncic returns back to the floor. As the Mavericks fall, unfortunately, 122-107 at home to the reigning NBA champion Boston Celtics. Coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show, we'll go live to the American Airlines Center where we'll welcome in our Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, and a little bit later on, our national NBA insider Marc Stein with the latest when it comes to Luka Doncic and what his possible return may be for the Mavericks. All that and more coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. But it's game time here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. If you love going to sporting events, concerts, to the movies, you got to be able to use Game Time to get your tickets. With all-in pricing, you know exactly what you're going to be able to pay before you get to checkout. They've got panoramic seat views as well, so you know exactly where you're going to be sitting before you purchase your tickets. I use Game Time to get my tickets to go to WrestleMania in April 19th and 20th in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, where I'll be able to watch my tribal chief Roman Reigns do his thing at at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. If you want to take the guesswork out of buying your tickets, you got to do it with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Remember, terms apply. Again, create an account and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. It's Game Time on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Their products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions. Whether you're on land or water or in post-game traffic, Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. One of the most unique features of Rugged Road coolers is their ability to always float upright, so you will never lose a drink. And unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance. Most light coolers are going to flip over. Most heavy coolers are going to be a pain in the butt to carry, but not these. And they are crafted to handle the toughest environment. Their coolers are built to last. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use DLLS. Again, use promo code DLLS for 10% off.
Mavericks falls to the Celtics 122-107 at the AAC, dropping to 24-22 on the season and 13-10 at home. They'll welcome in the Washington Wizards on Monday.
Can I give you one Clay stat real quick?
For sure.
So I was looking it up during your brilliant read.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So this season, Clay and Luka combo. All right. When Clay is on the floor, no Luka, Mavs 34.2% from three. When Luka's on the floor, no Clay, Mavs 35.1% from three.
Okay.
When Clay and Luka are on the floor, Mavs 38.7% from three.
Ooh,
so that is still a pretty good combination. The sad thing, KG, is that the Mavs have played more minutes without Clay and Luka than they have with either of those guys on the floor.
Oh, wow.
This season.
Wow.
So that's pretty awesome. I love basketball so much.
We still love basketball.
The 24-25 season, baby. It's awesome.
As we welcome in our Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato live from the American Airlines Center, I wanted to bring him on so we could read the super chat together. Let's get to Daniel Escobar's super chat.
Shout out Daniel
with the $10 super chat. Much love to y'all, fellas. We appreciate
Thanks,
you,
dude.
Daniel, hanging out with us here on the post-game show. As Tim, the Mavericks fall in the NBA Finals rematch. Players getting in and out of there quick as far as their post-game comments are concerned. I probably would too after tonight's unfortunate performance. What did they have to say, and who had what to say after tonight's game?
Yeah, we should probably start with the injuries, which is, Maxi ankle sprain. Jason Kidd was asked about the fact that there's not another backup. There's not another center on the roster who's healthy right now, and I think we're used to Jason Kidd coach speak and kind of the specific way that he answers it, and it felt like he was at a loss for words and said he's never seen anything like this, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. And that's the unfortunate reality. That's the very dismal truth about Dallas right now, is that they are going through it, and it is not going to get better anytime soon. So that was a bummer. The other thing I really wanted to focus on, and you guys started talking about it with Clay and three-point shooting, was just the sheer three-point disparity. And look, it's going to be amplified when you play against the Boston Celtics, who take the most in the league. When they hoist 52 three-point attempts, it's going to show up, that Dallas did not take as many. But Dallas had fewer attempts through three quarters than Boston had makes. They had 15 attempts. They ended up with 22. I asked Kyrie about that. I asked Jason Kidd about that. Kyrie said, in a previous answer, he said he was talking about the Celtics three-point shooting. He said he likes math. It's emotionless. As for the Mavericks, he said, yeah, in today's NBA, it's too low. 22 attempts, it's too low. He said that if you were watching, you might not think so. And there's some truth to that. I thought Dallas as an offense was consistently, they were getting a lot off these attacks, off these drives out of post up or spot up situations. Kyrie said very few of the shots were forced. I think all that's true, but like he said, it's too few 3-pointers. And Jason Kidd, he said the same thing, that they did need to create more from behind the arc. It's something that he was going to look at. He brought up the rim looks as when you do get to the rim, you have to finish, because it can real quickly lead to points transition back the other way. But yeah, my perspective on the threes is that this is just one game. I don't think that the offense is broken. Obviously it's going to be tough creating good offense without lukadoncic out there. But this was a game where a lot of the times, there was just a lot of times where Dallas needed to go create threes, like be a little bit more aggressive. Honestly, like Kyrie said, only one or two of the shots of the threes that they took were forced. Maybe they did need to force a few more threes. Maybe, I think Quentin Grimes' second three was just him rounding, a screen, and instead of driving and attacking, he just pulled up and he had space. Believe it or not, if you catch in a spot up situation and your defender is not fully up on you, you can't shoot that. You really can. And Dallas was playing a lot of players who aren't necessarily going to do that. Klay Thompson is never going to be guarded that way. But what players Dallas have that are both driving threats and shooting threats? That's Quentin Grimes, that's Spencer Dinwiddie, that's Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie didn't really have didn't have a lot of motivation, wasn't leading the 3-point charge himself behind the arc. Those players have to force the issue a little bit. Obviously, Luka's going to do that when he's on the court, and so they definitely miss him in that regards. But I remember another moment where Quentin Grimes got the ball late and drove into a mid-range shot that I thought could have been a step back, some sort of shot that he pulled behind the arc in a late shot clock situation. I just thought that some of those shots that were late, the offense is starting to break down a little bit. If you're in that situation, if you're not going to get the best shot out of possession, you're not going to drive and kick yet again, you're in a point where the shot's going to come from you. Maybe some of those need to be threes. I just thought that Dallas should have forced the issue a little bit more than they did. And as much as I think the emphasis, the coaching staff-led emphasis on driving and kicking is a really positive thing overall, and it definitely suits this roster, I thought this was a good example of what Dallas, just Dallas going a little bit too far in that direction and not quite getting the number of threes up that really would have ever let them compete with Boston and the sheer volume that they got up. And, even though it was a 15-point game, 15-point deficit in the end, I just don't think there's any way without Dallas being able to match them a little bit more that they were going to have a chance at this game.
And that's unfortunate because the game that Boston plays is one of math, and it's kind of a two-edged sword because you get baited into taking the amount of threes that you need to keep up with them. But if you can't shoot at the volume and make at the volume that a team like Boston does with, you're going to find yourself taking a bunch of threes and smoking them. And now you find yourself down 15 on the other end because now this is a team that can generate the kind of threes that they do. And tonight they were able to make the ones that they took.
And in fairness, again, this is really amplified and emphasized by playing Boston.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think 15 threes through 3 quarters makes sense for any NBA game against any opponent unless you are literally living at the rim. And I thought Dallas just should have forced the issue a little bit. Against good teams, you have to find ways to get up threes. That's one of the best shots in the NBA. And Dallas has shooters. You can't rely on, ultimately, we are no longer in the era of the NBA, especially when Luka's not out there, that you can just rely on open shooters being there. You can't just rely on shots that, shooters want to take. Sometimes shooters have to go find their shots. And Dallas has a few players who can do that. Again, this is tough. And I know a lot of this conversation revolves around Klay and his lack of shots and whether Dallas can get more shots for him. And that's just not necessarily the player he is. He's not going to be the guy who is constantly generating looks for himself. But there are some players who can do that, and there are ways for Dallas to have a little bit more of an emphasis on that. Again, sometimes it's as simple as rounding a screen and realizing that the other defender is sagging off of you a little bit and just being willing to pull it there.
The last time the Mavs took more threes than their opponents in a game was January 12th against Denver. It's not good. It's not good.
Wow.
Against Charlotte, they took 11 fewer. Against Minnesota, they took 3 fewer. OKC, they took 4 fewer in a game that they won.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one that they won, they took 1 fewer. Pelicans, they took 1 fewer. They're not creating shots. They're not creating shots. They're doing a lot of drive to the basket and hoping, and it's really, really hard to outscore the other team whenever they're getting 3 every time down the floor and you're only getting 2.
Other takeaways, Tim, from tonight's game based off of what you observed between the Mavericks and the Celtics in their finals rematch.
I don't know. Let me look at my little box score right here. Let's see. Is this a better view of me? Are you guys enjoying this?
Not quite.
No? Okay. I mean, the threes really was the thing that most stood out. And again, it's just because of the opponent. But, I thought Daniel Gafford played really well especially given how difficult it is of a matchup that is for him. I was impressed. I thought that he scaled what he can do well against Boston really well. He dialed up his strengths against a team almost to the point of, and he was +3 on the night for whatever that's worth, but he almost scaled up his strengths to match the inherent weaknesses he's going to have in a matchup like this, and that's something that he wasn't doing over the past month. Like a month ago when we kept having discussions about Gafford and him needing to be better and Daniel Gafford himself saying that he needed to be better, I thought that was missing. That wasn't quite there. So for Daniel Gafford to now be, to be this powerful inside force who is getting 8 offensive rebounds and then who is instantly able to convert those into points. Good performance, good outing from him. Good. Yeah. Very good for him. Quentin Grimes was a lot of fun in the fourth quarter too.
Yeah,
second half really.
Oh, that dunk was so awesome.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
big dunk to cut it to 20.
Oh, dude, it doesn't matter what the score was. That was one of the best dunks by a Mav in a very long time. Like,
No,
that
it
was
was.
a poster.
Since Spencer put it on SGA's
Not
head
even in the same universe as Grimes' dunk, dude. Grimes
No,
threw it
like
down on
literally.
the net.
Okay.
Shea barely even jumped.
Like
that was nasty by Grimes.
sometimes like you say sports phrases so much you forget like the actual meaning. To like a dunk, like putting it on their head, that ball literally dropped right on Luke Cornett's head.
It sent him
went
into
through the
crowd.
basket and it bounced off his head. That is what it literally means to
Head
put it
top.
on someone's head.
Oh, it was
very
awesome.
very,
I did not
very
know
nice
that Grimes could get up like that, to be honest.
Cato-esque like dunk by Quentin Grimes.
Cato-esque.
Correct.
That's right.
Get out of here.
That's right.
I will say, shout out, like when maybe it was just my angle in the arena, but when Grimes turned the corner on that, I was like, oh, he's got an easy layup, and Boston still had somebody at the rim. Like, it was very difficult to get. This is a very, very, very good defense. There was not any, there was nothing easy at the rim. Even on, a play that looked to me like it would be a much easier dunk. Quentin Grimes had to have the best dunk of his career to finish that play. But I thought, and not everything is, not like I was criticizing or not even criticizing, just saying like there was a Quentin Grimes drive that I thought maybe could have been a shot. I think his first shot attempt was he kind of caught it in space, and instead of like resettling himself, he drove it there. I thought there was a couple opportunities where he could have, instead of driving into a very packed paint, that he could have found a way to get threes off. At the same time, I thought the mid-range shots that he hit in the third quarter were pretty good shots. And sometimes you are going to need shots like that, especially rhythm, the exact type of shots that you practice every day, where everything about it is the same, that you are rounding, dribbling, and then you hit the nail and you just pull it from there. Or, you kind of stop in the paint and you pull it from there. Those are good shots. Sometimes those are the shots that you need to beat a defense like this. I was fine with those shots. I just thought overall, and the reason I keep saying Quentin is because he's the one guy that I have some trust in, like creating not just a stagnant spot up three, but being able to take a step, take a side step, take a step back, and still trusting that shot is like at least it's at least a 30% shot. And you need more 30% shots because, that a 30% three is basically as good as a, 50-52. And I just think Dallas didn't quite create enough of those. Those are the gray areas, the margins between the lines where Dallas can up that volume a little bit. Like I said, it's something Jason Kidd said the team was going to look at. I think it comes from a very admirable desire to attack out of those situations. It's something that's been coached all year, and it's something that's going to be super relevant once Luka gets back. But right now, Dallas can't keep losing the math battle this badly, even if you're always going to lose it against a team like Boston, just because they're have a complete cheat code math advantageous offense. So that's about what I got for you guys.
Tim, as always, we appreciate your reporting, and we will talk to you on Monday. Enjoy the day off on Sunday. Mavericks back on the floor on Monday when they take on the Washington Wizards. Appreciate the time, my man. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye, Tim.
That's our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato, good enough to join us live from the American Airlines Center after the Mavericks fall to the Celtics tonight, 122-107. Coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show, we'll be joined live by our national NBA insider, Marc Stein from the American Airlines Center, to provide us his thoughts on tonight's game and the latest when it comes to Lukadoncic and a possible return for him coming down the road. All that coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. First, let me talk to you about FOCO. If you love getting fitted out in the best sports gear around, I encourage you to check out FOCO. They've got hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. In fact, my wife and daughter got me a pair of Dallas Cowboys Crocs from FOCO. Nice and comfortable, wear them around the house, even though I can't stand the Cowboys right now. Shoes feel really comfortable and nice and warm, especially in this cold weather. If you're going to a basketball game or a hockey game, you can show off your love with team-branded friendship bracelets as well. Whether it's jackets, beachwear, or even overalls, or in my case, Crocs, there's something for everyone for almost every occasion. You've got set decorations as well, like the ones you see back here in our studio as well. So make sure you check out some of the – yeah, Bobby, that's right behind you. So make sure you check out FOCO.com or click the link in the description below for all non-presale items and use promo code DLLS10 for 10% off. Again, DLLS10 for 10% off. Shout out to FOCO.
I've got the perfect gift for the passionate sports fan in your life. Perhaps you've heard of Ice Shaker. Ice Shaker is now officially licensed with the NFL, NHL, NBA, NCAA, and MLB, and will make the ideal gift for the sports fan in your life. Created and used by the Gronkowski brothers. That's right, Gronk and the boys. Ice Shakers have sold over 1 million bottles. They've changed the game with workout bottles, and this is the bottle you've been looking for. You can go to iceshaker.com, and with promo code ALLCITY25, you can save 25% on your order. How about that? They're made with kitchen-grade stainless steel bottles that won't absorb odor like the plastic bottles do. They have a patented twist-in agitator that breaks up powders but is silent when you shake it. Instead of that metal ball and a metal cup sound that you hear all the time, is really annoying and grating. And they're customizable. They're third-party tested. They'll hold ice for up to 30 hours or more. Order your team-branded bottles today at iceshaker.com and use the code ALLCITY25 for 25% off your order. Ice Shaker, show your support for your teams. The best branded workout bottles on the market. Ice Shaker.
Mavericks fall 122-107 to the Celtics, getting outscored at the three-point line 60-24 as the Mavericks drop to 24-22 on the season. Let's go back out to the American Airlines Center and welcome in our national NBA insider. You can find him on X at the Steinline. He, of course, is Dapper Stein. Marc Stein, what's going on?
Gents, how are you holding up? How's the Corella Strader?
I'm good, Mark. I'm good. A really, really good team beat a team that is not as good.
Or healthy in a lot of ways. And unfortunately, the hits continue to keep on coming. Maxi Kleber leaving this game with 4 minutes left in the third quarter with a right ankle injury, as described by the team. This is on the heels of getting Jaden Hardy and Klay Thompson back, both who were dealing with ankle sprains themselves. But at the same time, this team is trying to find a way to keep things steady until 77 is ready to return.
Yeah, no further word yet on how severe it is, but obviously I think you guys picked up on Jason Kidd's post-game mood. You know, not great. I mean, they're taking hits in the front court and the back court, so it's like it's just one of those things where, like, you know, do they get through any game lately without somebody coming away with some kind of injury? And the answer lately has been no. I don't really think there's any kind of, defense for it. Or, I mean, these are obviously, it's just one thing after another. This was a brutal 3-game stretch. I think the truth is that the fact that they managed to win one game, and probably the most unlikely of the 3, they'll gladly take it at this point. But yeah, I mean, January is always the longest month of the season, and this has been the longest January that I can remember for a long, long time.
Especially for a team that's been without its superstar as long as it has been. Lukadoncic dealing with the longest absence of his career due to injury, as he missed obviously another game with the calf strain. We are a month out from that strain that happened on Christmas Day. The Mavericks having him get an MRI today, according to Mike Curtis of the Dallas Morning News, with that reevaluation taking place somewhat today. What more can you tell us about not just that, but also the optimism potentially around a Luka Doncic return from Dallas?
Well, I reported earlier today. I mean, I have to. There was no MRI today, so I don't know where that report came from. But I reported earlier today that I've been told there is optimism that Luka is on track for a return before the All-Star break. It's the first time that it's been phrased to me like that there is, that you can attach optimism to a return before the break. I've been consistently saying that February is when the return would be. It was just a matter of when in February. So again, nothing has been, a firm timetable has not been established. You heard before the game that Jason Kidd was asked for an update, and he said officially from the team, there are no updates as of today. Totally. I mean, as you said, we are a month now removed, a month now separated from the strain happening on Christmas Day. And look, if you look at the schedule, the Mavs have those 4 home games before the All-Star break. So is a return somewhere in there? Ultimately, Luka's going to have to stay on the current track that he's on. But like I can't remember what time I tweeted that, a few hours before game time was really the first time that I had heard, optimism projected for coming back before the All-Star break. So let's see if that's the track that they can stay on, because obviously this team needs him back in the worst way. This team is wheezing without him. And, but the Mavs obviously do want to be as cautious as they can here, because there has been this string of calf strains that Luka's had to deal with, going all the way back to the first trip to the conference finals in 21-22, when it happened in that regular season game late against San Antonio. So the Mavs want to know when they get the Mavs want to know when he's back, that they can keep him on the floor and keep him back. So obviously there are still benchmarks and checks that have to be cleared. But like I said, on a day that featured, a tough loss, there is that optimism that, there is that chance that they will now see him before the All-Star break, which I think obviously everybody would naturally welcome, because they've got a 5-game trip over more than 10 days before that to contend with. Home date with Washington on Monday, and then a 5-game trip that they know they will not see him on. So there's still a lot of basketball in front of them before they could welcome him back in the best case scenario. So
a
lot of hard work.
Yeah, to your point, you mentioned the schedule. They play Washington on Monday, then they go on the road for 5 straight against the Pelicans, Pistons, Cavaliers, Sixers, and they see Boston again.
3-2 road trip coming up, Mark,
on February the 6th. And
You
then
guarantee it?
I will use the Marc Stein line.
guarantee.
What are the 3
3-2,
wins?
baby.
What are the 3 wins?
New Orleans, Detroit, and Boston. Just kidding. Philly. You're going to win those games. Gonna win those games, baby.
I got you one in a possible. I got New Orleans on
Bring out the hopium gas mask.
the 29th, and I got you a possible on February 4th against the Sixers. Detroit is playing a lot better these days. Like, you got to give Detroit a lot of credit.
Mavs will win.
Mark,
Oh, sorry.
no, I'm just saying, Kate Cunningham is playing terrific basketball for them.
Mark,
these days.
is Dwight like coming back? I mean, obviously with Maxi out, I would imagine probably for a little while. His reaction was not very good as soon as he landed. Is Dwight Powell coming back anytime soon? Like, what do the Mavs do? Right now, their backup center is probably either Omax or Kessler Edwards. Like, this is a pretty dire situation.
Yeah, look, we don't have a firm timetable yet on Dwight Powell's availability either. So look, like if he's not coming back, I mean, surely they're going to have to look at potential short-term options because you can't ask Gafford to do it all by himself. So, I'm going to have to, I don't want to talk about something that I frankly don't know, and I'm going to have to do more reporting on to check what the plans are. But I mean, you're right. If Powell remains unavailable and no Lively and no Moxie, like, they're going to have to come up with some kind of counter. So do you explore, again, I'm going to have to report more before I can tell you. I just don't have that answer right now.
As the Mavericks fall tonight, as we look at the current standings, the Dallas Mavericks, with the loss, unfortunately drops to what is 9th in the West at this particular point with their 22nd loss of the season. The only other team right now with at least 22 losses that's below them is the Golden State Warriors and, of course, then the San Antonio Spurs. Golden State at 22-22. The Spurs at 20-23 after that butt kicking they took in Paris today to the Indiana Pacers. So after 46 games, this team is 2 games above 500, and we talked about the scenario in which lukadoncic at best can return. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they would have to go on a torrid run to get themselves into the top 6 to avoid the play-in, which is asking a lot for a team to do that 2 years in a row based off of what they did last year before they made their run to the NBA Finals.
I guess I look at it the other way, Super Kev, that, like, I'm actually surprised they haven't fallen further down the ladder. And, that's, again, where there are so many teams in the West that are dealing with stuff. But, I mean, look, on one hand, we know they do not want to rush Luka back, and they want to apply as much caution as they can because they don't want any recurrence of their injury. When lukadoncic comes back, they want to keep him back. That said, of course, they would like him. They wish he was back yesterday. I mean, it's like they clearly miss him. I saw this tweet from Bobby at some point during the game, and I totally agree with it. I mean, we know Boston's going to come in here and shoot 50-something threes or close to it, and that's what they do every night. But it was the Mavs weren't even able to take. I mean, the Mavs barely took as many. The Mavs ended up taking 22, 23 threes total, and Boston made that many. Like, it just, shot creation is something this team sorely misses without him. And it's just so banged up that, there's no way to duck the obvious. When he's back, when 77 is back, whenever that is, it will be a joyous time for this team and for the guy sitting to your right, because they have It feels like it's been a month, but it feels like an eternity. Today's exactly a month since they lost him, but it does feel like an eternity. It's the longest January I can remember around here in a long time. And I'm sure there have been worse Januaries, but it's just this team had expectations. That's the difference. This team is supposed to be a finals contender. And, without Lukadoncic and with all the other injuries on top of it, I mean, it is a night to night. How do we figure out how to get through this game scenario?
Yeah, that's been the disappointing part. It feels like it's been 2 years, and we are just now toward the end of January, and the expectations that are on this team, unfortunately, we just not have been able to see them come to fruition because health is just not allowed it at this particular point of the season. Mark, as always, we appreciate your time. The Mavericks get back on the floor on Monday when they take on the Washington Wizards. Enjoy your weekend and your Buffalo Bills playing in the AFC Championship game on Sunday on the road against the Kansas City Chiefs, and depending on what happens there, we'll see if you're happy or not come Monday.
Guaranteed.
Whoa.
Are you guaranteeing that the Bills win the AFC Championship game on the road against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs? Is that what you just did?
It just felt like something you wanted me to say, so I just couldn't.
Well, don't walk it back. You got to own it, man.
I couldn't. I mean, I'm not an NFL expert. I'm in no position to be making predictions. I don't cover that sport.
Well, you felt pretty confident when you said it, so you're gonna stick to it.
Nah, that was performative.
Don't tell your son that.
Don't tell Josh Allen that either.
Yeah, don't tell
Josh
your son
is a big
that.
fan of the
But
pod.
my son is not listening to any of my football. The only football opinions that matter in our house are his.
Oh, wow. Okay. A real alpha.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Enjoy the rest of your evening, Mark.
I know my lane, man.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll talk to you Monday.
All right, guys. Be good.
Bye, Mark.
That's our National NBA Insider, Marc Stein, getting to join us here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. When we come back, more on this game, and particularly as we look forward to Monday when the Mavericks take on the Wizards, and we look back at some of the moments that define tonight's game against the Celtics. We'll do all that coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs post-game show.
But first, shout out to Oscar, Mikkel, Tyler, Ismail, Brandon, Tim, Ryan, Steve, and Shane. They have all signed up to become diehards over the last couple days here at DLLS Sports. Diehard is someone that they're part of a pretty special club, KG. They're part of a pretty special club. And if you want to be part of that as well, and not just watch on YouTube, not just listen to podcasts or whatever, scan the QR code right underneath my finger. Click the link down in the description below, or go to alldls.com/diehard, where you can join the mighty and growing ranks of the diehards and financially support what we're doing here at DLLS Sports. Now, you're not just doing it because you're a great person. You're doing it because you get some bennies, and you gotta seize the bennies. Carpe bennies. You're getting a free shirt when you sign up. A free shirt and a discount on any other merch. And we just dropped a new shirt, Tanner.
We sure did.
We just dropped an NBA
Hot
Jam
merch.
inspired, Kyrie Irving inspired Mavs shirt. Now, when you sign up, you get to choose from more than 30 designs. You get one for free, and you get a 20% discount on anything else that you want. If you were diehard, you also get to join the DLS Discord server. You also get to read the entire website, all that premium paywall written stuff, post-game analysis, features. There's a bunch of stuff on the Cowboys coaching search. Joe Hoyt and Clarence Hill were all over that on the Cavs.
Tell them something,
Sam and
Joe.
Sean on the Stars, and you also get a discount on events. We got an event coming up very soon against these same jerks we saw tonight in Boston. Mavs going to Boston on Feb 6 at 6:30. We're going to have a watch party at Cosm. I don't know how many tickets remaining, but I know it's less than 10, and I think it is much less than that even. The link will be in the chat. Tanner's going to put it in there here momentarily. Cosm is an indoor sports dome. It's like watching a game in IMAX. It's going to be awesome. We're taking some people up there. You don't have to be a diehard to go, but if you're a diehard, you get a discount. So definitely act fast on those. Come hang out with us and watch a game. Hopefully it goes a little differently than this one tonight, KG.
Hopefully, because we want to have the Mavericks get a win, especially at Cosm, where we'll be celebrating not only DLLS Sports, but hopefully a win when it comes to your Mavs. Get your physical diehard cards with alldlls.com. And also shop allcitynetwork.com as well to get the fire merch that we have, especially with our new Kyrie Irving t-shirt.
Can I get you some good news and some bad news?
Let's start with the bad news.
The bad news is there's a stat called quantified shot quality.
Oh, gosh.
Which basically puts a number
gosh.
Expected effective field goal percentage. Essentially, if the average NBA player takes this shot, what should they shoot on it? Right? Now, that's based on location on the floor. That's based on nearest defender. That's based on number of seconds remaining on the shot clock. That's based on, are you receiving a pass or are you taking it off the dribble? But doing all this evaluation of the shot to determine what you should shoot on it. Tonight, the Mavs' quantified shot quality was lower than it was in any other game they've played all season.
Oh, gosh.
That's the bad news. The good news is it's all better than this. Like, everyone will be better than this one. This will probably be the low point of the season.
That's the hope, right?
Now, the bottom 5 games in quantified shot quality that the Mavs have this year have all come without Luka. A couple of them have also come without Luka and Kyrie. 6 of their bottom 8 have come without Luka. A lot of them have come on second nights of back-to-backs. And so, the goal is kind of what we've been talking about, shot creation and ability to generate good, easy, clean looks for guys. Once Luka comes back, we're not going to be talking about this anymore. We'll probably be celebrating. We'll be dancing.
I mean,
with all of our quantified shots.
Yeah, because Luka is arguably the best creator of three-point shots that the history of the game has ever seen. I mean, the amount of open looks that he is able to generate, just ask any number of shooters that have played for this team over the years that he has been a part of the Mavericks, and they will tell you, yeah, I got a whole bunch of wide open looks playing with this team. And look, man, that is the hope that once he comes back, everything is made easier for everyone. Luka is one of those players that everyone's job becomes that much easier when he's on the floor, and hopefully that will mean good things for this offense, because right now the offense looks labored. It looks difficult. Shot creation and at times shot selection has not been great for this team. And when you play a team against Boston that is as good as any, and not only taking threes but making them as well, that pressure that they put on you can feel like a heavy weight. It was tonight because they were not able to get up a lot of shots. They only taking 22 threes in this game and only making 8 of them, which means you're outscored 60-24 from the three-point line. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Tough shots. There are a lot of tough shots, a lot of forced shots, a lot of guys that are underqualified to take the shots that they're taking. But you got to figure it out. I mean, you could just dribble it out for 24 seconds and not shoot. But, yeah, I mean, they're not getting a lot of easy looks. And some of the easy looks that they're getting, it's almost like they're second-guessing. Like Clay's pump faking out open threes. Guys that get to the rim think it's going to get blocked, so they miss a layup. Daniel Gafford missed a dunk inexplicably.
Yeah, that was kind of a microcosm of tonight.
That sort of stuff, It's just that sort of stuff.
Can I give you some bad news? Did y'all see it?
What?
On Twitter? Maxi broken right foot.
Who says that?
Oh, my.
It's on Twitter.
Okay, well, who posted that?
Let's find out right now.
Oh, so Shams and ESPN McMahon report broken right foot.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Marc Stein, if you're still out there, what does it mean?
Yeah, this coming from Sean Serrani as of less than a minute ago. Another injury blow to Dallas. Mavericks forward Maxi Kleber has suffered a broken right foot and is sidelined for an extended period, sources tell him, and ESPN's Tim McMahon.
Cue the Simon and Garfunkel.
I mean, it's become... I mean, we've talked about it throughout the course, whether it was Dwight Powell with the hip strain and, Jaden Hardy with the ankle injury, Klay Thompson dealing with injury. It has become, you mentioned the word earlier, dire when it comes to their situation, because as of now, Daniel Gafford is your only center, your only true center on this team. And as we approach now my mind goes to, as we approach the February 6th trade deadline, obviously, I think the Mavericks feel like the biggest acquisition that they can get is the return of the superstar, lukadoncic. But right now, no Derek Lively, potentially for the rest of the regular season, no Maxi Kleber for the foreseeable future. They may be forced into making a move, because at this point, I know folks will start jumping in the chat, and we've seen it online, Jamarian Sharp. I don't know if that's a solution that's going to have any kind of real impact on this team now or in the future.
You're putting a Band-Aid on a knife wound.
Exactly.
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it might happen. It's not going to save your season.
No, not at all.
Like the same people were clamoring for Moses Brown to start back in the day.
I remember.
Buddy, this is not going to. He's 7'2". He's 20 years old. It's not going to happen. You know?
So they may be forced into making a move for a big man at the trade deadline. And at this point, that might be the move that they need to make.
Well, and the bummer of it all too, unless the idea is that Lively can get back a lot sooner than 2 months. The idea is that you didn't want to. This came from Stein himself. The Mavs didn't want to make a trade for a big because they only have the ammo to make like maybe a trade or two. Do you really want to use that ammo to get a guy that's redundant with 2 players that you already have, in Lively and Gafford? Because Lively's going to come back, and then all you're going to be left with is some dude you traded a first-round pick for, and you're like, well, this sucks now, Another idea was to trade for a guy that could trade Gafford for something else and then trade for a guy that can replace Gafford. Well, now you can't do that because Lively's out. So they were going to roll with Gafford and Maxi and Dwight, and then the same day that Lively's out for the 2 to 3 months or whatever, Dwight goes down, and now a couple days later, Maxi goes down. Tanner's throwing his phone all over the place.
Tanner's upset.
This is a catastrophe.
It's all right, Tanner. It's all right, man.
Immediate snap reactions. Here are my immediate thoughts. 1, odds are no one that you get with the 2-way contract is going to help you at all. So you have to think bigger. 2, if you want to sign a guy that is a free agent, odds are he won't help you either, but at least he'll have a little more experience, but you have to clear money in order to do that. Unlikely. 3, Maxi Kleber probably, if I had to guess now, this is hot take city. This is Recky Specky. All right, Marc Stein, don't get mad. Tim, don't get mad. KG, Tanner, don't get mad. Maxi Kleber has played his last game as a Mav.
Whoa!
I don't think...
Oh, man.
I don't think you can count on Dwight coming back. If Mark has said that there's no timeline, that they don't know a time, if Marc Stein doesn't know a timeline, that means that there ain't one.
Yeah, hips
All
are
right?
anything
So
to play with.
Dwight's going to be out for a little bit too. So you have no help on the horizon coming from within your roster unless you feel comfortable rolling with Omax, Kessler Edwards, and Markieff at backup 5, which, spoiler alert, you don't. So the Mavs have to make a trade. There were a couple people talking about Duop Reith from the Blazers. I think that's definitely an option. He makes around the same amount of money as Hardy, for example, or minimum guy, but minimum guys have to agree to the trade if they're on a 1-year minimum deal. And
do you call Washington on Jonas Valanciunas? Do you call Washington?
But why? Do we have to?
You see the big man situation that this team got right now?
I'm just trying to say. I'm
sorry, my voice is like with a 5 octaves.
I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of like an easy 1-for-1. Let's just do it. But I don't even know if they couldn't even trade Hardy right now for Duop Reith, because first off, do you really want to use that? Use Hardy to get a third center, but then then you need guards. This is just a nightmare, dude. It's all around. It is a complete and utter disaster.
Since you're going with your form of Recky Specky, I'll
right.
go with mine. Let me can I get the single shot real quick?
Oh no!
Listen, I love the Mavericks just as much as you do. The basketball guys have been trying to give us a hint for quite some time. It might be time to take the hint. The season and the way that it's going right now, hey, man, I'm not saying we're going to be able to play capture the flag, but my gosh, there is an opportunity to find yourself in the lottery. We found it out the other night, even before they beat the Thunder. They were in the lottery before they played the Thunder. Top 14 teams. I'm just saying.
It's not going to happen, though.
I mean, you can finish in the top 14. I mean, you may not win. You may win some games that you're not supposed to.
No, I mean, I'm saying they're not shutting anybody down. I mean, this is not going to happen.
And that's the Recky spec I'm gonna go with. Hey, man, if you look, what's the best way going in the future that you got to be able to start building your teams?
To trade the pick for a veteran, because this is the thing. This is the thing.
This is a loaded class.
Do your 59. Do your 59 real quick. Right? Is it time? Is it the 59?
It is time.
Do your alert, and then I'll give you my real sad state of affairs.
Thank you for joining us here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show for our television audience. We'll be back on Monday as the Mavericks take on the Washington Wizards. Our pregame show will begin at some time before the game. We appreciate you joining us here on the show. Back to our regularly scheduled program.
Okay. The Mavs, here's the deal. They have, I don't actually know if they have one or two, but they definitely have at least one second-round pick in this year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any more. That's their only second-round pick.
That's it.
Yes. I think they have their own in this year's draft too. So I'm pretty sure they have 2, but there's like a 5-part contingency on that other second-round pick, and even the contingencies have sub-contingencies. I'm not a lawyer. I do know they have at least 1, but then they don't have any after that until 2032, and you can't even make trades. You can't even trade picks that far in advance. The Mavs have their pick this year, and they have their first rounder in 2031, and that's it. They can't trade any others. They could swap next year's pick, like they could do a pick swap, but that no one in their right mind would do that with the team with Luka and Kyrie. So here's the deal. You cut the brakes the day you traded for Kyrie. You threw the steering wheel out the window the day you signed and traded for Clay.
That is true.
This is an older team with hardly any picks to trade. No real contracts of value right now. Going into the summer, they'll have plenty because in this summer, PJ, Gafford, Maxi, Dwight will all be expiring.
Do you bring Quentin back on a restricted free agency deal?
Yeah, but I'm talking about expiring deals with big money. The only kind of moves that you can make now are either lateral moves that aren't going to help you because this season is you're already in a lot of trouble, or you just bite the bullet and you make a super duper, not Jerry Jones, I'm talking real caliber all-in trade this summer, where you trade the 2025 pick that becomes better because your team is not going anywhere, and the 2031 pick unprotected, a bunch of expiring money, and you go get yourself an all-star. That is it. It does not, unless they pull off a miracle of all miracles and get the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick or something. You go get Cooper Flagg or you get Ace Baylor, you get any of these other guys that super big name players. It does not behoove them to do a 2 timelines thing. There is no 2 timelines around here. There is 1 timeline. That 1 timeline is right now. Okay, unless they want to trade Kyrie and Clay this summer too and get younger. Like, drafting a teen is not going to fix anything unless that guy is, like, again, the number 1 or number 2 pick. So let's say they lose and it's big bummer mode for the next 3 months, and you get the 11th pick. Trade it. Get it out of here. Get it as far away from me as possible. Go get me a veteran that knows how to play. Go get me a guy that can make an all-star team. Go get me a guy that can dribble the ball. Go get me a guy that can shoot. Go get me a guy that can do something, because this is the choice. This isn't a doomer take. The reality of the situation is this team is going for it right now, and it does not make any sense to try and bring some teenager along whenever you have Kyrie and Clay who've been fighting in the finals for more than a decade now. Like, It does not make sense to do that. Again, the brakes are cut, the steering wheel's out the window, the cliff is right there. You're either going to win a title before you get there or you're not. You need to go all in. Push them to the center of the table.
Whew, that's a lot to take in. That's a lot to take in.
I had this conversation the day they traded for Kyrie, actually. It was really invigorating. And
wow.
It's come true. I was like, this is it. It's it.
Well, I mean,
they're just going for it. There's nothing left to do.
Ain't
no rebuilding anymore.
No, because this is the window that you decide. I mean, I'll take it all the way back. When was the moment for you that you realized, okay, with lukadoncic, okay, the window is open and you got to keep it open as long as you can, because this dude kind of sped up your timeline. I think, and correct
before
me if
they
I'm wrong,
drafted Luka, that was what I thought.
Oh, that's when you thought, like
the team that gets Luka can win the season any year.
Yeah. Because I think for this team, the timeline got sped up so much that you got to start making moves to put yourself in a position where you can compete for year after year. And this is just one of those years where the injuries have caught up to this team in a way that is really just unbelievable, to be honest with you. Luke, I'm sorry, no Jimmy Butler. I can't do it.
No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Miami doesn't want anything the Mavs. And the Mavs, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, Look, I don't want to kill the dream, but I mean that's just not necessarily going to happen.
I do want to respond to. So Jacob says, and this, I'm not criticizing the question. It's a good question. What happens if going all in fails? That means Luke is gone. The reality of the situation is the Mavs could win a championship and Luka could still leave. Kyrie won a title in Cleveland and left. Clay won how many? 4 in Golden State and left. LeBron's won a championship everywhere he's gone, and he's gone on to change teams. Jimmy Butler's about to be on his 7th team or something.
Something like that, 5 or 6.
Players leave. KD has been on 3 or 4 teams. Like, it's just how it goes. You can't. as a GM, right? Like your job, and as a coach, and as anyone employed by the organization, your job is to make your superstar happy. But also, like, he's gonna leave one day. It's like having a kid, right? Like, you know that your kid is gonna move out of the house one day. It's just gonna happen. So, like, whether they're 18 or 25, Luka is gonna leave the Mavs one day, whether by force or by retiring. You have to try and maximize what you can whenever he's here, but it's just gonna happen. You could win 73 games and lose them in the finals, and he leaves.
Did you say maximize?
Maximize.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's tough. Who's the all-star thing they could go on for? I don't know. I mean, it would need to be somebody that forces it, because the Mavs are going to get outbid by anybody.
Giannis.
Well, I mean, I don't even want to utter the guy's name. But basically, the algorithm would benefit greatly from the Mavs striking a deal with the LA Lakers this summer.
Are you talking about Anthony Davis?
No.
I know. You are not talking about
I'm not saying it.
LeBron James.
I didn't say that. I could be talking about Austin Reeves, Kevin.
No, you're not. You said an all-star.
I could be.
You know how old LeBron James is?
You know how old Clay is? That didn't stop him this summer. You know who two guys are that LeBron really wanted to play with over the last 2 years?
Lukadoncic and Kyrie Irving.
No, Kyrie and Clay.
Oh, Kyrie. Oh, yeah. That's
you know
true.
who his favorite player in the league is?
Lukadoncic.
Luka.
Yeah.
You know what agent he's rep by? Clutch.
Clutch Sports.
You know who represents half the Mavs?
Clutch Sports.
Clutch. You know what his favorite teammates was when he won a title? Jared Dudley. Want to know who his favorite assistant coach he's ever had is? Jason Kidd. You want to know who repped him whenever he got his first shoe deal? Nico Harrison.
That's
like, come on. Come on.
You have connected
It
all
makes way too much sense.
of the proverbial dots. LeBron James would be 41 next year, and he's
It's about as all in can go, man.
Golly,
I mean,
man.
like, again, you know.
By the way, the free agency class this summer.
Well, they don't have any money, so it doesn't.
No.
matter.
I'm just looking at some of the names that would like be out there. Like,
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, no, I mean, and again, you know, unless you win the lottery or something, going into the summer, you're going to have like a mediocre pick in this year's draft, at best, and a distant 2031 first rounder. So if a good player is going to change teams, you'll get outbid by 5 or 6 teams that are just as good as you, if not better. That the player would not be like, no, I need to go to Dallas. So the only way for the Mavs to get a guy is if it's either like essentially a Kyrie situation where it's a steep discount and it's a big risk, or if that guy's like, I'm tired of being here, I need to go there, and basically tries to pull like a Dame, but it works.
And Kyrie's got his $44 million player option this summer.
Yeah, he's getting an extension. He's not accepting that.
I've forgotten that Miles Turner was going to be an unrestricted free agent this summer. But, of course, the Pacers have his bird rights. So there's that. But, yeah, that is the unfortunate breaking. No pun intended.
You're not – this is a bad situation.
I don't want to use the C word, but I'm getting real close to using it.
C. Catastrophe.
No.
Calamity.
No. What's the Cowboy situation right now?
Crisis?
Well, that too. This season might be cooked.
Oh.
Cooked.
I could have guessed 1,000 words that started with C. And
You wouldn't have got the cooked?
No.
Tanner's like, no, not me either.
No.
Let's get to our last couple of super chats.
Mark is going to be so pissed off if he ever finds out that I was just like, yeah, they're going to trade for LeBron, right? He's going to be like, shut your mouth, you weirdo.
I mean, that's a hell of a woo. He'd be 41. 41.
It is truly just
Recky Specky.
We're just
complete.
We're just coping so hard right now. But like, again, that's it. You're
all in, Jerry.
You're not getting any teens. No teens. You're going for vets. That is clearly what they're trying to do. That is what they have done. I'll be very impressed if they don't do it. But generally, teams that you get older rapidly and you try and compete, generally that goes one direction. It's like the law of physics or whatever.
I'll do this one first since it's relevant, and then we can do our though.
Shout out to Ronald with the $5 super chat. Injuries suck, but no matter what, the Mavs have to keep their 2025 first-round pick because it's becoming a better pick day by day. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm right there with you, Ronald. Like I said, I'm right there for the Mavs to take the hint that the basketball gods are giving them.
Well, all right. So the 2024 draft, the 10th pick in that draft was Cody Williams. Starting at 10, Cody Williams, Montas Buzelis, Nikola Topic, Devin Carter, Bub Carrington, Khalil Ware, Jared McCain.
Khalil Ware is turning to
Dalton Connect. Yeah, I mean, these guys are fine. Yeah. Tristan Da Silva, Jacoby Walter. All right.
Jared McCain was on his way to a Rookie of the Year.
He was having a pretty good season
before he got hurt.
Yeah, and they were 4-17, but he was getting a lot of shots up. Like, your odds of getting an impact – I mean, now this is going to sound rich because they did just get Lively.
At 12.
2 years ago.
Yes.
Right. Okay, what about the guy that got drafted before him, Jed Howard? How's he doing in Orlando? What about the guy that got taken after him? Who did get taken after him? Was it Grady? It wasn't Grady Dick, was it?
I don't – 2020 –
like, your odds of getting an impact rookie outside of the top, like impact, if you're trying to win, like if you're trying to really super ultra win, yeah, Grady Dick, Jordan Hawkins, Kobe Buffkin, Keontae George, Jalen Hood-Schifino. Okay, I mean, I'm not one to discredit the draft or whatever. I mean, OKC got Case and Wallace. He's been really good.
I mean, but the 2025 class is loaded. This is a really deep draft, and a lot of folks are excited about this year's draft. So maybe if you find yourself in the top 14, the likelihood of maybe finding a impact player is a little bit better this year than what it was. Maybe
it could be
some previous years.
It could be, or it could not be. But again, if you're trying to win a title, you want to get a guy that you know exactly what he can do. I think that it would be doing a 2 timelines thing is better if you actually have more picks and you already have more youth. The Mavs don't have a whole lot of youth. Like,
yeah.
PJ 25, 26, Luka's 20. But Luka's about to be 26. Like, that's young-ish, but that's really like prime.
See, maybe think about some of that is what you had mentioned, maybe about a week ago was, Luka's been limping around for how long?
4 years.
So if you got a chance to clean it all up, Kyrie got a bulging disc in his back. Luka been hobbling around for 4 years. He's dealing with a calf. Like, this might be the chance to clean it all up, get yourself reset going into 25 and 26, and then roll from there. Like, I didn't want to go into the full, take on it because that's super doomerism. Like, Luka, love the competitive nature, but hey, man, we got a chance to clean it all up right now.
If the Mavs win the lottery, do you keep the pick? Yes, you do.
Yeah,
unless. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, okay. You just left it there.
Well, I mean, you listen to every offer.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, if you get the number 1 pick, I mean, come on, man. It's Cooper Flag all day.
If someone is going to offer you an all-star for the number 1 pick, then you listen. Listen.
Giannis. Let's Ardell.
Milwaukee would probably love Cooper Flag.
He would fit the aesthetic in Milwaukee for sure. $5.41 super chat.
Shout out Ardell.
Super chat Ardell. What are reasonable expectations from Clay? I'm just here so I won't get fined for the Recky Specky.
It's been tough for him, man. It's been tough for him without Luka.
I mean, yeah, the hope with Clay coming here was all the open looks that he was going to have generated for him playing alongside Lukadoncic and Kyrie Irving. He's not at a point in his career anymore where he can, give you 60 on 11 dribbles. Like, that's not that Clay anymore. Clay was one of the best two-way players and in his prime. That's not the same player. He's a spot-up catch-and-shoot guy. He's still one of the best catch-and-shoot three-pointer, takers and makers in the league. And he was going to do a lot of that here in Dallas. I don't know what you can reasonably expect. You can get a 25, 29-point game every now and then. We've seen that from him so far this year. But, I mean, those came when Lukadoncic was on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, he could be a scorer, but he can't create a shot.
No, he cannot.
He needs someone that can create shots for him. That's not like a limitation. It's just the nature of his game. And without if Kyrie is your only real playmaker, I mean, like Dinwiddie, Hardy, Grimes, those aren't really playmakers. They're not facilitators. They're guys that will get assists. They're not setting you up, So it's been tough, man. It's been really tough.
But that, unfortunately, is the breaking news here.
Thanks a lot for that news, Tanner.
After the game. Shout out to Tanner.
You're like 20 seconds away from just getting to go home. Having a great night.
I mean,
it's the weekend.
Low-key turned into a mini emergency pod.
Oh, it's an emergency, all right.
No, it's definitely an emergency at this point. But yeah, on top of the loss today to the Boston Celtics, 122-107, the Mavericks, according to Shams Charania and Tim McMahon of ESPN, Maxi Kleber has suffered a broken right foot and is sidelined for an extended period of time. That was quick, by the way, because he was injured in the third quarter with 4 minutes left, and an hour later, he's got a broken foot.
They said the Mavs just put out a release saying that he will be reevaluated this week. So this is the situation. Whenever you break a bone, obviously there's a lot of swelling, there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of things. So like you probably can't get a great idea of the exact severity of it all or anything right now. I think isn't that the case? Like MRIs, don't you need swelling to go down before you can get an MRI?
Yeah, I mean, they did say that he suffered a right foot fracture. So they did go ahead and confirm that portion of the news. So it depends now just on the severity, I would imagine.
I think in order to know, like, does it need surgery or is it a small deal or a big deal or whatever, I think you have to wait a little bit to let it kind of, you know what feet do. I don't need to tell you.
Yeah.
You know how feet do the thing. They just kind of sort of configure themselves. God, what an absolute
what a bummer,
nightmare, man.
Just a complete nightmare for this team from an injury standpoint. But we will be back on Monday. Bobby will be here. Yes, Bobby, yes, you will be here.
No, I won't.
Oh, actually, you won't be.
I won't be here.
Myself and Tim Cato will be here. Bobby's going to be away on business. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, my God.
No, he'll be away on.
That's not a euphemism. I will be at meetings.
No, he will for real be away.
I'm not going to buy cigarettes. I'm going to Denver.
Woo, because the way that this season gets smoked away right now.
I can use one right now.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Omax Legacy Minute's coming on the way.
Oh, my God.
Hey, man, that's your guy. Tim and I will be back on Monday with our pregame show beginning at 6:45 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports with tip-off at 7:30 p.m. as the Mavericks welcome in the Washington Wizards. With what players? Who the hell knows at this point?
On either team.
On either team.
They might actually win that game on Monday. The Mavs might win on Monday. Overcome all the injury adversity.
That might be the best win of the season at this rate.
Yeah.
But yes, we'll be back at 6:45 p.m. with our pregame show here on DLLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports. We did cross the 14,000 subscriber mark today as well. So thank you to all of you who continue to support us here. It means the world to us. It's been a busy last 24 hours or so for us here at DLLS Sports with the breaking news, of course, of Brian Schottenheimer being hired as the new Cowboys head coach. Congratulations to our DLLS Cowboys crew. Over 13,000 views, I believe, on the emergency podcast with Jesse Holly, Clarence Hill, and Tell Them Something Joe Hoyt. So really, really monumental last couple of days here for us at DLLS Sports. So again, thank you to all of you supporters here. Mavericks fall 122-107 to the Boston Celtics. And the news with Maxi Kleber unfortunately breaking his right foot, going to be out for an extended period of time. For our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato, thank you to our producer, Tanner, for making us look good, sound good, and even deliver bad news to us.
Yeah, thanks for that again,
Thank you, Tanner. That's our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Carella. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you Monday at 6:45 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports. Y'all have a good weekend. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.